Jeremy Clarkson has owned Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and a Ford GT he eventually couldn't live with. He has reviewed almost every significant performance car of the last 4 decades and dismissed most of them with a single sentence. But the car that means the most to him has just 39 horsepower, and when he received it, he nearly cried. That tells you everything about the hidden side of Jeremy Clarkson's garage, the cars that his television career never quite got around to showing you. Stay with us, because the further we go into this collection, the more surprising it gets. The reputation and what lies beneath it. For 40 years, Clarkson has been the loudest voice in automotive journalism. Top Gear under his tenure became the most watched factual program in television history. His reviews shaped public opinion about cars in ways that manufacturer press releases could only dream of. The man who dismissed entire model ranges in a single line was taken seriously by the very manufacturers he dismissed. That reputation is real, but it is also a performance. And like most performances, it hides something more interesting underneath. The cars Clarkson has chosen to keep, the ones bought quietly, held onto long after they stopped making sense on paper, the ones with stories attached that no camera crew ever filmed, those are the ones that tell you who he actually is. The Mini that revealed everything. On his 61st birthday, Clarkson's daughter Emily gave him a car. Not a supercar, not a Grand Tourer. A vintage Mini Cooper, a classic original built in an era when British Leyland was still a going concern and 39 horsepower was considered adequate. By every performance standard Clarkson has publicly applied to a vehicle, over 40 years of professional criticism, this car would fail. It would fail comprehensively and without much argument. He was overwhelmed. He called Emily stupidly generous. He was visibly moved in a way that no Ferrari reveal or Lamborghini delivery had managed across a career spent surrounded by extraordinary machines. The Mini sits in his collection. It has not been modified. It has not been tuned or made faster or upgraded into something more befitting its owner's reputation. It is simply a car his daughter thought he would love. And she was right. For a man who has spent a lifetime arguing that performance is the only honest measure of a car, the vehicle that affected him most was one that a motivated cyclist could keep pace with on a slight downhill. That gap between the professional opinion and the personal reality is what this entire video is about. The BMW he sold for £3,000 and has never forgiven himself for. At some point early in his career, Clarkson owned a BMW 3.0 CSL, one of only 1,265 ever built. A lightweight homologation special with aluminum panels, perspex windows, and a racing pedigree that made it one of the most significant BMWs ever produced. It was also, as a footnote, the car that launched BMW's Art Car program. The 1973 racing version was painted by Alexander Calder, beginning a tradition that continues to this day. Clarkson sold it for £3,000. His own verdict on this decision, delivered publicly and with characteristic bluntness. Absolutely idiotic. The same car in comparable condition now sells for well over £200,000. He has called the sale the worst automotive decision of his life. Not a car he bought and regretted, but a car he understood too late. For a man who has driven almost everything, the vehicle that haunts him most is one he let go for less than the cost of a decent holiday. Some lessons about what something is worth only arrive after it has gone. The Alfa Romeo he had to own twice. The first time Clarkson owned an Alfa Romeo GT V6, he called it simultaneously the best and worst car he had ever owned. Unreliable, temperamental, structurally Italian in all the ways that phrase implies when applied to a car from the 1980s. He sold it. He has compared the loss to losing a dog or a member of the family. Years passed. He bought Ferraris. He owned Lamborghinis. He drove things that were faster, more reliable, more rational in every objective sense. None of them replaced it. Then, during a Grand Tour filming episode set in Scotland, a red GT V6 turned up as his road trip car. Somewhere during filming, almost casually, almost as an aside, he mentioned on camera that he knew exactly where this car was going to end up when the episode wrapped. At his house. He bought the car from the production company after filming finished. It has been there ever since. Of everything Clarkson has ever owned, The machine he loved enough to own twice is a 1980s Italian coupe that spent its existence looking for opportunities to break down. That choice, made twice across a lifetime, says more about his taste than any review he has ever published. The car he bought for his wife, and quietly loved himself. In the late 1980s, Clarkson acquired a BMW Z1. He has been open about the fact that his then-wife wanted one, and that her enthusiasm was a significant part of the motivation. The Z1 is one of the strangest cars BMW has produced. A roadster whose doors drop vertically downward into the sills rather than opening outward, disappearing entirely into the body of the car. It is an engineering solution so unusual that most people who encounter it cannot immediately work out what has happened. Clarkson mentioned the Z1 in an early Top Gear column, acknowledging that what had started as a purchase for someone else had become something he genuinely appreciated. The car's complete refusal to do anything the conventional way appealed to something in him that the more famous and serious cars in his life did not quite reach. He has not confirmed publicly whether the Z1 is still in his possession. Collections change, and not every car from that era is still where it started. But the fact that he owned one at all, and that he found himself enjoying it on its own peculiar terms, is a detail that most profiles of him have never thought worth mentioning. The Christmas gift that hydraulics built. In 2007, Clarkson's then-wife gave him a Mercedes-Benz 600 Grosser as a Christmas present. A car from 1963 that operated its windows, sunroof, boot lid, suspension, and seats through a single hydraulic system. Technology so ambitious for its era that maintaining it required specialists who understood engineering that most modern mechanics have never encountered. The 600 Grosser appeared in a Top Gear challenge, set against James May's Rolls-Royce Corniche. Two enormous and deeply impractical luxury machines from a different age, driven by two men who found the whole exercise quietly delightful. It is remembered as one of the warmer episodes of that period, partly because the cars themselves seem to have personalities. Multiple sources suggest Clarkson still owns the Grosser, though, as with any private collection, the current status of individual vehicles can change without public announcement. What is not in question is what the car represents. A hydraulic 1960s limousine, gifted by a former spouse, kept through everything that followed. In a garage built around performance and conviction, that is an unusual thing to hold on to. The car that kept him awake at night. The Eagle Lightweight GT is one of 12 ever built. Eagle is a British coach builder in East Sussex that restores and reimagines the original 1963 Jaguar E-Type Lightweight. Each car takes thousands of hours to complete. The body is hand-formed aluminium. Every component is finished to a standard that most contemporary manufacturing considers economically irrational. The result is a car that looks like the past and performs like the present. Everything that made the original E-Type legendary, refined by 60 years of subsequent knowledge. Clarkson declared the Eagle Lightweight GT the best supercar of 2020. He said it kept him awake at night. He owns one. For a man who has driven McLarens and Paganis and the fastest production cars of 4 consecutive decades, the machine that removed his ability to sleep was a hand-built British car from a 12-unit production run, made by craftsmen whose primary skill is making already beautiful things more so. Not a hypercar, not a record breaker. A love letter to a shape that Enzo Ferrari once called the most beautiful car ever made. Clarkson has never quite explained why this car affected him the way it did. He did not need to. 12 were built. He found a way to own one. The explanation is in that decision. What these cars actually tell you. The Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Bentleys are the Clarkson that television built. They confirm what the audience expects. They fit the persona. But the Mini that made him emotional. The BMW worth nothing when he sold it, and a fortune when he realized his mistake. The Alfa Romeo he missed so much he found another one. The Z1 bought for someone else that he ended up appreciating on its own terms. The Christmas Grosser held onto through years of change. The hand-built British car from a 12-unit production run that cost him his sleep. None of those cars make sense within the television version of him. All of them make complete sense within the real one. Jeremy Clarkson has spent a lifetime telling the world what makes a great car. But the cars he quietly kept for himself reveal something even more interesting. They tell you who Jeremy Clarkson really is. Subscribe to Drive Directive and tell us in the comments. Which of these hidden cars surprised you the most?